Hey guys, welcome to Get Busy Watching. I'm your host, Honest Dan. Let's talk movies. Oh boy, I couldn't resist this one. I have been an X-Men fanboy since the beginning, and I do mean the movies. Yes, I know the arguments. The only way you can be a fan of these movies is if you've never read the comics or seen the 90s animated show. Well, I never read the comics, and I didn't see as much of the show as I would have wanted. I mean, I've seen enough of the show to know that there are differences, but where most people say that their X-Men is in the comics or the show, mine is in the movies. However you feel about that statement is your baggage, and I ain't interested in holding it. Not that I'm having the highest of expectations for this movie, but it's been delayed so many times that I'm gonna give it a nice warm hug for crossing the finish line. I know it's not gonna be a good movie, but this is my honest opinion of the New Mutants. God, it's about time. That Disney acquisition, changing the name of a studio that's been around for 85 years. This is why supporting Disney is a scam. All your money does is go to them getting a monopoly on everything that's everything. Give them enough money and they'll want a monopoly on everything that's nothing. I don't know what that means either, but fuck Disney. $30 for Mulan, my Peruvian ass! Okay, so chaos, pandemonium.
Danny, I have to go back. Stay here.
Yeah. Couldn't get a second take out of that line read? Her father gets killed, conveniently thrown right back to her. Evil Snow tries to kill her, and did Elsa finally go off the deep end? Because I will be infinitely more interested in this movie and Frozen if that's the case. Danny, played by Blue Hunt, wakes up in this mystery facility and hilariously drags around this bed all over the infirmary. What's the ultimate plan here? Moving around isn't exactly gonna be subtle. I mean, I'd be antsy too if I woke up cuffed to a strange bed, but geez, give it a couple of minutes before anxiety and desperation kicks in. Danny meets Dr. Reyes, played by the amazing Alice Braga, and tells her the terrible news that she is the sole survivor of her reservation, having apparently been destroyed by a tornado. And as Danny tries to cope with her loss, Dr. Reyes offers some comforting words.
But the reason you survived is because you're a very uncommon girl. Your reservation was wiped off the face of the earth.
Or just kick her extra hard in the vag. What the fuck, bitch? Now we get a very clunky insertion of what mutants and mutation are, and already because of that, anyone with half a brain can guess that her reservation's destruction was her doing. Anyone who knows anything about mutant origin stories tend to happen via tragedy, so the mystery's ruined. Somehow it ain't ruined for Danny, but hey, that's bad writing for you. Also, what's even the point of the lie? Sure, it would incite an emotional reaction and probably kill Reyes in the process, but isn't that what sleeping agents are for? Gas, injection, something to preserve innocent lives. Like, is there no contingency for that sort of thing? The next day, we get to meet the other attitude-stricken teens of this facility and the very charming young man Roberto, played by Henry Zaga.
This is our new patient, Danielle Moonstar.
Oh, serious.
Oh my god, minorities making fun of other minorities for their last names is more disgraceful than a white person's racism. Go to the Deep South, bro. See who gives a shit about your last name. Rain, played by Maisie Williams, shares her story, but then Danny is put on blast.
New girl. How fucked up are you?
Ileana.
Drugs, I bet. Or an info, maybe? Hopefully.
You know the President of the United States says the same thing about you and your people? Okay, I officially don't like this asshole. I want him to die as soon as possible. But let me guess. We're married to him until the credits start rolling. Fuck.
What's that, Lockheed? I hate her too.
Ooh, judgmental white girl who hates for no reason. God, I love this cast of characters. So relatable. Ileana, played by the ever-amazing Anya Taylor-Joy, only gets so much better when she convinces Danny that there's nothing holding her back from escaping, only to find out that it was a joke, and there's actually a force field keeping her trapped.
This isn't the hospital, Pocahontas.
Well, a racist white Russian makes more sense than a racist Brazilian. Also, oh no. Anya, what kind of direction were you given? No wonder you went on to do the Queen's Gambit. I'd want to cleanse my palate too. Okay, now I'm all for a beat like this, a character contemplating suicide. Danny watched her home get destroyed by nothing, her father killed by nothing, and is now locked in a facility for God knows why, and even the other kids are kind of assholes to her. All of which hitting her like a freight train in less than 24 hours. A reaction like this makes sense. And I'm all for Rain being the one character that cares enough about Danny to talk her out of it, but there's two things I don't like about this scene. One, I don't like how Danny isn't having a bigger reaction, like crying. I think they're going in the direction of her being numb, but I feel like crying would be a bit more powerful, especially with all that she's faced. But I really do like this exchange.
I'm all alone.
There's two people up here.
I thought that was sweet. They're both safe and sound, and then we get a complete tonal shift, watching Sam, played by Charlie Heaton, use his powers to... movie, you explain.
Is this like practice? I don't know. Sometimes it seems like he's out here just trying to hurt himself.
Oh sure, one scene ago we were heavy on the whole no suicide thing, but now the hurting oneself bit is now a joke and something to observe. I can see why this movie wasn't getting great reviews.
He grew up in a small town in Kentucky. Did really well in school, but had to drop out to work in the mines with his dad. Poor guy. Right? Poor guy.
He's sitting right there, you exposition dump! Although that's nothing compared to this bit.
Thank you for helping me.
What do I know? Maybe we both should have jumped.
No, not something to joke about. And don't smile, this isn't a charming moment. Danny starts having nightmares and we get a taste of what her powers are all about, making Sam see himself in the mines where he used to work with his dad, and making dryers explode. I'm all for building up the mystery of what happened with Sam's dad, probably accidentally killed him, and I don't fault the self-harm, but what, he didn't say anything to anyone about the very real nightmare he lived through? Has no fuss been kicked over a destroyed dryer?
Hey, Standing Rock. You want a buffalo wing? You people love buffalo, don't you? Well, here. Why don't you show us on the puppet where Daddy touched you?
Just deck the bitch. You don't need superpowers to break a nose. Here's a really cool scene. Blood snow. I've legit never seen that before. Kinda like it. Now I do like how this scene plays out. Hearing voices, the banging and shaking, classic horror stuff that this movie was clearly trying to go for. It's not scary, but it's not poorly done. My issue continues to be that it's not something that Rain talks about to anyone. I have no doubt that these kids are suffering from PTSD as a result of their traumatic childhoods that brought them here. I believe a very easy fix to explain why these kids don't talk about these things is if it would be that these PTSD moments happen during sleep. They're not new, they're just more intense and feel more real. So they just chalk it up to something they don't want to share, or believe they'd be told to meditate on it, or establish their PTSD in the form of dissociative disorders, which would result in a similar, if not the same outcome. Not new to them, just more intense, hence why they don't say anything to anyone. The discouragement would be understandable under those circumstances. In this scene, the kids are sneaking off to the attic where they play with a lie detector to find out more about each other. I'm just gonna say this now, put that fucking thing away. None of you know how to read a lie detector, and that's not even how lie detectors work. The only thing they're good at is measuring anxiety, and anxiety isn't linked to lies or truth. Link in the description if you want to learn more. But that is hardly the most annoying moment.
What's with the stupid bear?
What's with your stupid puppet? Shut the fuck up, bitch! After Sam has an outburst believing that he's never going to get out of this place, we get yet another teen get-together after Ileana spikes Reyes' tea. But more importantly, we learn who they think this mysterious superior is that Reyes is always yakking about.
Isn't it obvious? You know who the X-Men are, right?
How is that obvious? The Xavier Institute is itself a school where mutant kids go to understand and hone their powers. Why would they be linked to a facility that utilizes such extreme measures like force fields to keep people trapped, prison-like rooms that double as solitary confinement? There is nothing obvious about that. Dumb shit. Did I mention I don't like this character? After learning more about Sam's past and why he's here, we get a romantic scene? You're in a cemetery! Did this pretty moment have to be done next to gravestones? Are you kidding me, movie? The only scenario in which a graveyard is romantic is if it's between Morticia and Gomez Addams. And why is there a sequel coming out for that movie? It wasn't that good. That is a pretty visual, though. Danny and Rain share a kiss, and Rain's eyes change colors.
Your eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't. They're beautiful.
Yes, it's cringy, but it's kind of an adorable cringy. I mean, first-time teen romances are usually pretty awkward, so I'm okay with this. Besides, first openly gay mutant. Even the MCU hasn't done that. You know, as much as I love the MCU, they are constantly beaten to the punch. Captain Marvel wasn't the first female superhero movie. Well, neither was that, but it's clearly the best one. And now, the New Mutants has the first gay superhero. Give the competitors some credit. They are at least willing to go places that the MCU is too scared to go. They may not necessarily make the superior films, but seriously, for shame, Marvel. And I'm a fanboy saying that. By the way, all of this is still taking place in a cemetery! Roberto fails to get some snoo-snoo, and then he's attacked by a vision of a flaming corpse. Though he's saved by Dr. Reyes, he wants out of this facility. Reyes won't allow it. Ileana challenges Reyes, resulting in her getting locked up and the entire facility getting locked down. Now this scene really confused me. I can only assume that that is truth serum, making Danny confront the night of her father's death. Already, I don't know why Reyes needs this information, and one would think that Danny's powers would be triggered while under duress, but we get flashes of scenes from Logan, the ones that explain Laura's upbringing. What confuses me is why the heavy-handed connection between this movie and Logan. More importantly, how? Specifically, how is Danny seeing all this? What are her powers anyway? And how do they really work? Is she psychic? It's just so confusing and the rules are never truly explained. Are her powers about showing people their worst fears? And is she psychic? It's just not very well established. But of course, this triggers something scary. Not since the Bye-Bye Man and Slender Man have I felt so unthreatened. But Ileana ain't the only one with scary shit happening to her, as Rain is confronted with something spooky as well, causing her to change. Yet somehow, it's not the doctor that figures out what's going on, but rather Ileana. Fucking bitch, you've been hovering over those security monitors like a vulture to a corpse. How did 2 and 2 not equal 4? Anyway, Ileana tries to kill Danny, but is otherwise unsuccessful. Doesn't stop Danny from making nice with Ileana by returning her puppet to her. Far better person than I would have been to her. I would have taken that puppet to a fireplace, dangled it over the fire, and forced her to tell me why she's had such a bone to pick with me ever since I walked in here. I'm a big believer in eye for an eye, but that's why I'm not the protagonist of any story. Reyes gets a notification from her superiors that Danny is too much of a threat and that it's time to kill her. But of course, we have to confuse me further and bring more inconsistency into the fold. Ileana is confronted with her smiling man fear, which, well, okay, now I'm having a little bit of fun here, even though these monsters do look like Slender Man with a mouth, and no one's using their powers to defend themselves. Reyes tries to gas Danny, but Rain ain't about to be in a lesbian movie where she don't get the girl at the end. Seriously, if I see another one like that, it'll be a cliche I'll be tired of seeing. Okay, this made me laugh when Reyes cowardly leaves the kids to die after they beg for help, but in a good way. This bitch is clearly done with playing nice and is ready to look out for number one. But now it's time to use our powers.
Do something! Oh, seriously?
Jeez, Sam is just getting screwed left and right. Alright, that was pretty cool. Sam reunites with Roberto, and they go looking for the ladies when Ileana makes a dramatic appearance.
That was so hot.
Even after we have that scene where we're supposed to like you more, you're still ruining scenes. The gang is all together again, and the truth is revealed to all of them. And once again, this script confused me.
She wasn't prepping us to be X-Men. She was prepping us to be killers.
So, prepping them to be X-Men was Reyes' lie? Then why did Roberto say that it was obvious why they were all here? And why didn't Reyes say any of this to Danny? Jesus, this writing.
Tonight, I'd like to talk about responsibility.
I love how this bitch is on death's doorstep and she's still trying to be the evil, conniving villain. At some point you gotta realize when you've been outplayed. She manages to trap them all in mini force fields, but that soon becomes a grave mistake. I will always appreciate a brutal, well-deserved death. Is that Danny's fear? If so, why did it only manifest now? And why did it breach the perimeter? All of the other fears have been contained within the facility itself. What makes the Shadow Bear different? Deus Bear Machina, I guess. Deciding to take one for the team, Ileana confronts the bear herself and why is the dragon alive? No. Why is the puppet alive? And don't reference that line. Oh, it's magic, so am I. No, why is the puppet alive? The others make a break for the chapel and Sam decides to help Ileana. And Rain tries to keep Danny safe. Everyone gets a few good knocks in before getting incapacitated, but it takes a weak-ass pep talk with her dad to finally wake up.
Now you need to wake up.
Stop!
That easy, huh? Well, that sucks out all the tension. Anyway, she basically tells the bear that the sun's getting real low, and the New Mutants walk off to the end of the 20th century X-Men franchise. Whew! Christ, it really is the end of an era, isn't it? The X-Men franchise is the only superhero franchise that never saw a true reboot. And frankly, it's the longest running superhero franchise. Spider-Man went through 3 Spider-Mans before settling on Tom Holland, and the X-Men franchise was practically middle-aged by the time the Avengers movies started kicking off. This series is 20 years old. Yeah, you can say that First Class was a soft reboot, but that's still supposed to take place within the same universe as the OG trilogy. Timeline continuity aside, alternate timeline theories aside, you understand how these movies are supposed to be connected. We've never had a different Wolverine. We've had younger actors playing younger versions of older characters, but X-Men has always stood on its own. Regardless of how you feel about the franchise as a whole, it's made its mark. And I'm sure there's more than a few people out there eager to see what the MCU is going to do with it. Certainly I'm one of them. But a legacy truly ended when Fox merged with Disney. Look, Apocalypse wasn't everyone's favorite film. Dark Phoenix, I'm sure wasn't a good movie either. New Mutants, also not a good movie. But the Fox X-Men movies are over. Really over. for good this time. And I don't think I like that. I like that these movies did their own thing, walked their own path. Even New Mutants kind of feels like a breath of fresh air from the MCU. And I love the MCU. I mean, we'll see what they ultimately do with it, but I feel like there's going to be something missing. Hey, New Mutants ain't great. It ain't a good movie. I don't think I agree with the sheer hate for it, but what can I tell you? I'm going to have a soft spot for this franchise. And I'm going to find positives in even the worst of these films. Do I recommend checking it out? I mean, I guess if you're a completionist like me, yeah, you'll make the time for it. I do think that it's better than most will make it out to be, but definitely keep your expectations low. It's not very well put together, doesn't always make sense, but take it for what you will. My honest rating for The New Mutants, a 3 out of 5. So before I wrap this up and let you all go, I wanted to give you a quick announcement. As a build-up to the release of Wonder Woman 1984, I'm going to be going back in time to check out the entirety of the DCEU. So keep an eye out for those reviews in the coming weeks. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Stay safe and healthy out there. Please wear a mask if you go out. Hope to see you soon.